What's good, everyone? This is DJ's Raw and Cut Truth, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. It's good to be back home. It is good to be back home. It's a blessing. I hope everyone's having a great day. Man, glad to be back. Glad to give everyone the raw content that they all deservedly need. How's everyone doing? Shout out to Wealth Engineering. Shout out to Side H. He says, hey, yo. Yeah, we back, bro. Mark Kerr says, 3 to the dome. What's good, new media? Yeah, we good, bro. We are good. So today's topic is about James Wiseman. James Wiseman and Steve Kerr, the emotional coach of the Warriors. Didn't I tell you that Steve Kerr is very emotional? He is not a good coach when it comes to developing young players. He's just not. And shout out to Mark Curtis, who says, DJ, keep on inspiring all of us. I'm trying, my brother. I'm trying. And thank you, my brother. These type of messages are what fuels me. It fuels me to motivate the people and making sure that everyone gets the content they all deservedly need. Shout out to Corshawn Smith. He said Melo needs to go off tomorrow. Yes, he does, and we'll talk about that in another video. Shout out to Quality Insurance. He says new media. Yes, indeed, my brother. Shout out to Not George says, what's up, DJ? What's up, my guy? Rap guy with the comment of the day. The comment of the day. He says, Steve Kerr at it again. Oh, boy. That's who he is. He's Steve Kerr. He's a beta male coach. He cannot lead men. And his job was very easy. When you have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and then later, 2 years later, you have a Kevin Durant, you don't have to really do much, but not mess it up. But Steve Kerr, what he did was, these rookies are not perfect. They're young. They're going to make mistakes. But instead of Steve Kerr being understanding of it and being reasonable, Steve Kerr did the cardinal sin. And that cardinal sin was he embarrassed his players. So he could have just told James Wiseman not to play that game. He could have said, well, since you missed the COVID testing, we're not going to play you because you didn't practice that much. I will understand. But this fool, Steve Kerr, a.k.a. Steve Kerr, he played James Wiseman for the fourth quarter. Let me repeat that. He played James Wiseman for the fourth quarter. He embarrassed him. But I got to give James Wiseman credit. James Wiseman, even if it was garbage time because the game was out of hand, I don't care about that. I'm just making a point. James Wiseman had 14 points and 7 rebounds in one quarter, in the fourth quarter. That was a middle finger to Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr, believe it or not, has some James Borrego in him. The only reason why Steve Kerr is getting away with it is due to the fact that when you have a Steph Curry on your team, that makes everything easier. He's the best shooter in history. But it was so bad last night. The coaching, the rotation was so bad that Steph Curry went out of his way to cuss everybody out. Now, I've never seen Steph Curry do that ever. But what I'm going to do today, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to invite people on the show And make sure to not hog up the time to talk about this subject of Steve Kerr and his inability to coach players. Wolf Engineer says Kerr is the Milli Vanilli of coaching, living off Mark Jackson's work. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just sent the link to have this discussion. And for those who support the channel and donate to the channel, I'm sending my Cash App and PayPal because YouTube is taking 45% of what y'all donate. And I know y'all ain't trying to donate to YouTube. So let me do that. Thank you for supporting the Wave, the new media initiative. Let's grow this channel organically so we can have real information out. I thank all of you. Shout out to Shanika Ryan. Thank you, Queen. She says, peace, DJ. Thank you so much for your positive energy. Shout out to Rev, who's in the comment section. He says, support the president, DJ. Yep. Thank you, my brother. Subscribe to King Fuse Lit House. He just commented on there. Open your tab. Make sure you click to copy that his page, and make sure to subscribe to King Fuse House Lit House. He's a good brother, and he supports realness. That's what we got to do as brothers and sisters. We must support each other so we don't have to depend on corporate websites who copy everybody and doesn't do anything natural. They have these interns. They go on YouTube channels and take every information they do. I know they do this. But back to James Wiseman and Steve Kerr. James Wiseman. He wanted to go to Golden State Warriors. He was, when he got drafted, he was jumping for joy. He actually thought he was a top player in the draft. And I don't blame him. You got to have that confidence. But what he failed to realize is that Steve Kerr is out of touch. See, kids who grow up in the hood like James Wiseman, they're used to a certain type of alphaness. So when you have Steve Kerr, who's pillow talking and coaching and game planning, complaining about this and that, bitching and moaning, you see why Michael Jordan decked him on the eyes when they were teammates. This is not good coaching at all. This is trying to shame a player who's just trying to make it in the NBA. And this coach benched him for 3 quarters and only played him a quarter. This is what's wrong with coaching today. They're not professional. They're chaos. They're all about chaos. They're all about brainwashing these kids to play a certain way, and they don't allow them to be themselves. They're out of touch. That's why when I look at Steve Kerr, I see Borrego. The only difference is if Borrego was coaching that team, of course he would have won. If he was coaching KD, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, you think he wouldn't have won? That's how easy that job was. And shout out to Mark Jackson for laying the groundwork. And yes, I said it, Mark Jackson. Boy, I'm cooking today. Let me calm down. Let me sip this water real quick because I'm about to go in even more. Wealth Engineering says, what did he do to deserve that? I'm going to tell you what happened. He didn't. James Wiseman did not deserve it at all. James Wiseman was late to a COVID test. He was late to a COVID test, and the coach was trying to flex on him. He was trying to emasculate him in front of the team. And you could look at the body language of James Wiseman. he felt embarrassed. So when he played that fourth quarter, he played pissed off. That was the best game I've ever seen Wiseman. Wiseman was so pissed off. He did not care how big the postman was. He didn't care about shit last night. He was trying to destroy his opponents, and he gave the middle finger to the coaching staff. He told the coaching staff, yeah, you can fuck with me. You can give me shitty minutes, but I'm going to return the favor. In the NBA, you have to be a dog. If you do not, these coaches will ruin your careers. Boy. I'm saying a lot. I apologize for saying a lot, but I have to go in. We cannot afford to have coaches like this in the NBA. They're hurting these kids, man. And for what? Politics. Rap God laughed. He talked about pillow talking. Yeah, that was funny. Rap God says Rev called it Wiseman traded in 3 years. Yeah. Me, Coach, Rev, J&J and others, we have this ability to see the game within the game. So we can never be surprised at what happens. When you see the game within the game, it startles you. You get tripped off. Remember what I said the pregame, and you can look back. When I had the pregame talking about the Hornets versus the Pistons, I said maybe this will be LaMelo's worst game because he just came back from vacation. The Pistons are most likely going to have a small forward guard him. Guess what happened? Now, I didn't predict 7 points, but you could see what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. Rev be on it. That's why I'm subscribed to his channel. But in Rev's channel, he just doesn't just talk about the NBA. He talks about real things that go in our communities and personal lives. Rev said facts. Read these comments real quick. Boy, Steve Kerr done pissed me off today. But these fake ass old school coaches, man, they're trying to ruin these kids, man. They're trying to ruin it, man. Kevin says, bro, what? He should have taken the test. Why he's encouraging kids to be spoon-fed. Tough love works. That's not tough love. Kevin, respectfully, that's not tough love. That's why I said if he suspended James Wiseman 1 game for that, okay. The fact is he benched him 3 quarters and played him in the last garbage time 10 minutes to embarrass him. Oh, Rev, I was talking about the COVID test. He didn't do what most coaches did. He tried to show James Wiseman up. Adam Hearn says JB is a better coach than Kerr, low key. They're both coaches that does not understand relationship with players. But I'll say this about James Borrego. James Borrego is solid in X's and O's. He's learned that from Greg Popovich. His problem, JB's problem, is he tries to cater to his favorites. Samuel says, if the Warriors don't make the playoffs, Steve Kerr's job is on the line. Yep. He got a coach. He got to make his money now. You ain't got Kevin Durant to save you. Kevin says, didn't take the COVID-19 test. I guarantee you he would never miss another team test again. I tell you that. He wasn't going to miss it anyway, even if they didn't play him that game. But if you don't see the game within the game, you won't understand what I'm talking about. You're going to bench him 3 quarters and then play him in the 4th quarter. You might as well just not suspend him for 1 game. You don't try to show him up like that. That's not coaching. That's narcissist coaching right there. That's not how you grow. That's not how you instill confidence in players. Did you see how pissed off James Wiseman was at the end of that game after he had 14-7? And you talking about that's tough love? That's not tough love. That's nepotism. Maxwell says Steve Kerr always have those feminine tendencies. Couldn't be me. Yeah, he does. Grab God says LeVar called it. Old media were mad at him. Yeah, LeVar was right about it. They were right about it. And again, I don't care if y'all disagree. I'm just telling y'all what I see. Adam Hearn says, DJ, this may not be the first event he has been late for. American millennials need to be more accountable because of the rest of the world pass on them. I get that. That's why he should have suspended him for one game. You don't play him 3 quarters and then play him in the 4th quarter. He missed the COVID test in practice. That's not professional. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that's not how you discipline your players. All he had to do was just suspend them the whole game and say, you're going to miss this game because you missed the standard COVID test. That's all he had to do. Not sit him on a bench, making him look like he's a scrub, and then play him in the 4th quarter. That's not how you do it. Thank you. Mr. What a Day has been saying everything I've been saying. Thank you. He understands what I'm talking about. Mr. What a Day. Look at Mr. What a Day's comment. It would have been better to sit him. That's all I said. Man, I'm going to give you your flowers, man. I'm going to give you your flowers. Common sense. Common effing sense. Look at that. That's all I've been talking about. That's how you discipline. You tell James Wiseman you will not play this game. Then James Wiseman would have to look at what he did. Then he'll learn. He's going to learn anyway. That's how you discipline. You don't try to show him up and then try to play him in the last quarter like he a scrub. That's mentally, that's not right. Rev says, I'm here for the barbecue. You already know what I'm talking about, bro. Wealth Engineering says, I'm done working 20 minutes. I'm going to call in, DJ. All right. Like he said, Wealth Engineering, like he said, the game within the game. Y'all better let them know the game within the game. There's ethics to this, man. There's ethics to this. Ethics. If you were a coach, I want everybody in the comments to answer this. If you were coaching James Wiseman and he broke the COVID protocols, would you do the right thing by sitting him out one game, or would you would have done what Steve Kerr would have done, which is sit him out for 3 quarters and then play him in the 4th quarter to embarrass him? Which one would you do? And shout out to Joshua for the $10 Cash App donation. Thank you, Joshua, to help grow the nation. Let me read some of these comments. Mark Kerr says, my wife just asked me what I was doing. I told her I was having a church. Her fellow question was, who is the pastor? He said, Pastor DJ. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Lord. Thank you, man. We preaching today. We are preaching today. We're not sugarcoating. And, man, we have Dexterius Crockett. Shout out to Dexterius Crockett for donating. He donates almost every show. Brother, you don't even have to, but you do it anyway. That means you see the vision of new media. and you want this thing to grow. Thank you, my brother. Says, keep up the pressure, DJ, new media. Yes, we are. That's what we're here for. We cannot allow these coaches to ruin these kids. We can't allow that to happen. We got 80 plus 86 people in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. We can't allow these coaches to ruin that. Because what they do is ruin the minds of these brothers and make them feel like they're less than. And that's not coaching. That's narcissism. Shout out to Aquarian Warrior. Brother is full of knowledge in the comment section. He says Kerr used to make faces at Curry's crazy threes during his MVP run, like Steph wasn't carrying him as a coach. I remember that. He used to always give Steph Curry that face, that what abysm face, not realizing that without Steph, Steve Kerr would be a regular coach. Samuel says even Steph was frustrated. He literally yelling at the team during the game. Steph is fed up, man. He's fed up. Now, some people said that Steph signed off on the James Wiseman pick, that he told the organization, allegedly, he told the organization that they needed a big man. That's what people have been saying. I hope that wasn't true, but if that is true, that's Steph's fault. See, Steph knows now he needs help. He can't be the one to always facilitate and get ISO threes. Rap God says LaMelo didn't fall to the Hornets. Steve Kerr would have emasculated him. I think if LaMelo can handle James Borrego, he can handle Steve Kerr, aka Steve Kerr. Samuel says Steve Kerr got carried, and this season is showing. Yes, he did. Adam Hearn says, okay, I see you wanted him to be suspended. Got it. Yeah, that's proper punishment. I would not trip if James Wiseman was suspended one game because he missed a COVID test. Your coaches tell you got to be on time. You got to listen to your coaches. My thing is that last night was a complete trying to embarrass the kid. Steve Kerr went beyond coaching. He tried to punk him. And if I was James Wiseman, I'd be pissed off too. They treating that kid like he's not a 19-year-old. He's 19. Let the kids grow. J.K. Robinson says, had him playing in garbage time like he was a bum or something. See, that's what I was talking about. That's not how you do things like that, man. Aquarian Warren says there's a difference between hold the player accountable and humiliating them. Y'all see that right there? That's exactly what I was talking about. Brother. We're going to give you a hand clap for that. Steve Kerr. It doesn't take much to just pull the kid aside, say, hey, these COVID tests are important to our team. You cannot afford to do that because you put our team in jeopardy. We're going to suspend you for one game so that you will learn from this mistake. But no, he didn't want to do that. What Steve Kerr wanted to do was thug it out. So instead of being a coach, he became a jackass. And he told James Wiseman, you will not be playing in 3 quarters. Matter of fact, we're going to play you with the scrubs. That's what he did. So nobody should be defending that. Maxwell said Kerr just had an ego trip, wanted to emasculate Wiseman. Common sense, just suspend him for one game. Exactly. I tell you one thing, if Steve Kerr would have done that, I wouldn't have made a video today. I'll tell you that. Nobody would have had a problem with him. Shout out to the legend CJ. Thank you for supporting new media. says bench him. That's all you have to do. Don't suspend him for one game. Adam Hearn says vets should be handling this as well. I'm pretty sure if there is some other deeper issues, it will be out in next week. Oh yeah, you know how they do. Adam Hearn says tough spot for Wiseman. Both Steph, especially Draymond, have been big up in LaMelo. Now that I think about it, I think LaMelo is being better off being in Charlotte. I can't, that situation is good as well. That situation that LaMelo's in is not perfect at all. And the only reason why they're at 500, let's be honest, they're in the East. And they're in the East. So we're not seeing all, like, if the situations were switching, they were in the West, we'll be saying the same thing. But the Hornets have their problems as well that they need to rectify, especially who needs to have the ball in their hands. Shout out to JG, man, always supporting the channel. He says the Warriors should have knew they needed another guard when they had Quinn Cook not producing during the playoffs when Clay and KD was out. That should tell you enough right there. Common sense. Wealth Engineering says we need a PayPal for Canada. This is 45% is nuts. I do have a PayPal, and I'm going to send it in the chats for my Canadian homies. New media is worldwide, man. I tell y'all, we will not let YouTube mess up these algorithms, mess up. They're taking, come on, man. When I go to a YouTube channel and I'm donating to support a brother and sister, I don't want half of it to go to them. I hate when these sites do that. Not 10% or 5%. They out here doing 45, 50%. Starboard says LeVar has never been wrong about these coaches. Yep, LeVar was spot on. Y'all didn't want to listen to LeVar. Y'all thought he would just. I could tell when LeVar is like when he says something, I'll be like, okay, LeVar, that's full of crap. But then when LeVar is just keeping it real, that's when you know he means business. Shout out to Joshua Cage. He said, "You welcome, DJ. Thank you, man." Case in point said, as a coach, I would ask what happened to see if I can fix the problem there. Then I would shut up for a game. Boy, these coaches today ain't shit. Luis says, actually, this is American culture to undervalue, underestimate, and marginalize black folks. Exactly. And these coaches, and I hate when people go in the comments and say, man, it's not about race. No, it's all about truth. That's what it's all about. And a lot of these so-called white coaches, they use coaching as a facade to get at these brothers and sisters. And I'm sick and tired of it. The jig is up. Joshua K says, he said, Cash App, y'all. Super chat is boo-boo. Yeah, man. And I'm about to send out the PayPal link. Boy, YouTube is out here hustling, folks. Like, I like the platform. I like that we get to connect, but I'm like, come on, y'all. YouTube be tripping. Mr. What a Day says, get this. The suspension is a sequence for any player across the board. Holding him out until garbage time is specific for that player. Slinging him out in a different way. Singling him out in a different way. Absolutely. That's what it represents. That's why I was pissed off. Joshua K said he has high school coach tactics, right? Y'all. For those who played in high school, y'all know what I'm talking about. Boy, back in the day, coaches would call you boy in a second. Shout out to Dom King. He said Steph would have signed off on Wiseman. The mysterious sickness Steph Curry got in Charlotte was guilt rising. Oh boy. Oh boy. Y'all see that comment right there? Shout out to Dom King. Shout out to Dom King. I'm going to read that again for the people in the back because we turned it up today. He says, Steph Curry have had to sign off on Wiseman. The mysterious sickness, quote unquote, Steph Curry got in Charlotte was guilt rising. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Salute to that, brother. That's what it was. Now I see why Rev said what he said yesterday. Steph Curry probably signed off on that as well until he saw LaMelo play. Aquarian Warrior says, yup, Star, I love how LeVar always kept it 100 on these overrated coaches. Yeah, they are. Adam Hearn said, what's up with the Pelicans? Do you think they should start a fire sale? The Pelicans need to make trades off the woodworks. They're not going to the playoffs. They're done. I don't even like talking about the Pelicans. The Pelicans give me a headache. They're a horrible franchise. They're prehistoric coaching, prehistoric offensive sets. Stan Van Gundy, he's done. Samuel says if they don't get Steph help, let me see. If they don't get Steph help, I don't want them to offer Steph an extension because I don't want to see Steph Prime get washed. Yep, he may have to leave there. Warrior fans don't want to hear it, but that's how the game goes. And there's nothing against the Warriors. It's really just how the coaching staff and the organization, they just can't find a way to build team. That team that Mark Jackson created, that was a blessing. All they had to do was get a little piece here and there to fit into the cap, and they would be good. But once Klay Thompson got injured twice, KD left, things fell apart. Adam Hearn says Steph is a loyal guy. He wants to play with Klay. Oh, absolutely. Steve Kerr is just a social justice fake woke corporate shield. Mr. Look at Me, fake outrage. Boy, the corporate shield. Those are the worst ones because they're the ones that act like they care about us and one end, but behind the scenes, they're on that corporate agenda. You cannot trust those type of people. Rev says they still playing Devontae like he's a starter. Hell no. Yep. That's why I tell these folks, do not sing too many praises on James Borrego at all. Like when they tell me, oh, James Borrego's doing better than Steve Kerr, I hold my horses. I hold my horses because they were still trying to do that messed up stuff. They were still trying to play Devontae like a starter. Even though LaMelo was off and kind of passive, I saw it. Case in point says, DJ, the media blew it up, so that might have put pressure on Coach Kerr. And Panza said, it's morning here in the Philippines. Great way to start my morning listening to new media. Thank you, Queen. And shout out to the Philippines. I got a big fan base from the Philippines. Thank you guys for supporting new media, man. We out here trying to make a difference, being the change that we all need. Oh, boy. Adam Hearn says, super chat like the Soviet Union. Yes, it is. It's bad. Douglas Goldenchild says, Warriors fumbled the bag big time. Steve Kerr was in his feelings. New media. Yep. Douglas, you are so right about that. DJ Pablo, what's good, my bro? He says, without an overall understanding, it's hard to comment, but it is true. Coaches have been another part of the problem in the NBA. James has played how many years? Steph is seeing a problem development. Yes, develop. Steph Curry sees the problem. That's why he was frustrated. Not just the game, but he sees the lack of understanding how to develop the young players. The coaches are just failing at that. When you're a good coach, when you have a new player and you just tell them, hey, do these simple things and we're good. All they need to do is tell Wiseman, there's a way that we screen, there's a way that we rebound, and we're going to look for you time to time. To focus on the little things. When Wiseman plays like he's finding himself. He's trying to search for an identity. This is the coach's fault. And that's why you never draft for need. Never draft for need. When you draft for need, you draft a player that really is not ready to become that guy. And then his confidence is down. Always draft the best player on your board. For Michael Jordan to have LaMelo Ball slip the three, he's looking at it like, wow, they really just gave me LaMelo Ball. The Hornets' sales have increased drastically. The ball movement is so much better. They're winning more. This is what happens when you don't draft off emotion. Emotional GMs can ruin a good thing. Now, I'm not trying to put full blame on Bob Myers, but let's keep it 100 now. Bob Myers did sign off on it, so he's at fault. You don't do stuff like that. You don't sign off on bullshit like that at all. You just don't do it. And he, meaning Bob Myers, he folded. He told the coaching staff and he told Kerr, hey, you're the coach. You're good. And I'm going to send a link right now. He allowed that he allowed that draft pick to happen, Bob Myers. Because Bob Myers, for those who know him, those who have told me about him, is that he doesn't like to ruffle feathers. He likes to play the status quo and be the good guy, the good cop. That's the problem. So he's just at fault. Let me see. Samuel says, by the time the season ends, Tebe is about to be in the starting lineup. He better not be. I don't want to see that. Constantine says, what happened to Wiseman? Well, this is what happened. Steve Kerr tried to embarrass Wiseman. He tried to embarrass him, and Steve Kerr looked like a fool doing it because he looked arrogant. He could have just suspended James Wiseman. He didn't have to bench him 3 quarters and then have him play with scrubs. That's not good coaching. That's trying to get in someone's head to emasculate them. Let me see. All right. Shout out to J&J Video. She said new media. No doubt. That's what I said. Says Wiseman went off on the 4th. I feel bad for the kid. Yeah, he was angry. And I don't care if it was scrubs. That's impressive. 14-7 in 1 quarter. He was angry. That kid wanted all the smoke. And did you see at the end of that game, Steve Kerr went away from him, like walking away from him? That's when you know you piss somebody off when you do that. When you try to play on the scrubs, that's what happens. So we got JC, the black guy, on the line. So, brother, seeing what you saw with the Warriors, and instead of Steve Kerr just being a simple coach, suspending James Wiseman for a game, he had to show him up and play him in garbage time. What you think about that?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me on the panel. I want to say shout out to New Media Nation. Shout out to everyone in the chat. To answer the question, I do agree with you that The coach should have actually sit Wiseman for the game for the entire game. But I think actually he's having a different. I think he doesn't know how to be tough. I think it's
Right.
more like he was trying to be tough and then he felt bad. His feminine emotion kicked in and he was like, "I'm gonna let him play in," you know.
Yeah, and shout out to Slick Madison Vines. Slick Madison Vines. Did you like or did you not like what the coach Steve Kerr did by having James Wiseman only play in garbage time instead of doing the right thing, just suspending him? He embarrassed James Wiseman in front of the team. What
Yep.
you think about that?
Yep. Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. How you doing, my brothers? Yes. So,
Good, my brother.
you know, ego, man. Ego.
Right.
Ego. I didn't like it at all because, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the coaching staff. It's an embarrassment to Steph Curry. It's an embarrassment to the Golden State Warriors, what happened last night. And, kudos to James Wiseman, man. Kudos to Wiseman, man. He went out there and he straight up, like, exposed Steve Kerr. He exposed him. What he had 14 points in 7 minutes, 10 minutes,
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yes. And that goes to show you, man. Like Steve Kerr, man, he's just out there, man. He doesn't know what he's doing, man. He doesn't know what he's doing, And it's an embarrassment because it's sad that guys like Mark Jackson, he did so much for the Warriors and he can't get a job, in the league and he can't, he's getting blackballed, and you got guys like this getting,
You still there?
lesson. But to sit that kid down for 3 quarters, man, and like you have Steph Curry going off. Don't you think that Steph Curry went off because of the situation with Wiseman sitting? Don't you think that's one of the part of the reasons why he went off too as well? Don't you think Steph is trying to send a message not only to the team but to Steve Kerr? That's what I really want to know. Like you got to read between the lines too,
Yeah, that could be.
DJ.
That could be because Steph Curry just played like a man possessed, man.
Yep.
He was so angry, man. He was so angry, and he was pissed off, and he wanted to be he wanted it to be known,
yep,
that he's not playing around at all. And for James Wiseman, man, you feel for him because he didn't ask for this.
Yep.
He didn't ask to be embarrassed like that in front of his coach. But I told a lot of shines about Steve Kerr. I said, man, this coach is not what he is. He's a narcissist. He is not a freedom fighter or whatever that he tries to be. I see right through him.
You see, sorry about you, DJ. The thing about coaching, right? What people don't understand, coaching is more mental. You have to develop a connection with the players, and it's harder to coach a rookie up in today's NBA because with the internet and with the emotional detachments and all these stuff that's going on, and coaching is more than just having superstars and winning championships. And I don't think Steve Kerr was the right coach for James Wiseman, mentally, emotionally, on every level. And this kid, he's folding. He's folding under the Steve Kerr system. He's folding. He's just not like connecting with Kerr. And this is why you have this guy, James Wiseman. This is James Wiseman. Let's not forget who he is. He's just not living up to his name. And I feel bad for him because yeah, he's not mentally strong. I understand that, but that's you're in the NBA, man. This is a man now. You're not a little kid anymore.
Right.
You got to grow up, man. Like look at LaMelo, man. LaMelo could have folded. You understand me? Well, LaMelo's a dog, man, and that's what they don't get, bro.
Yeah, DJ, I wanted to ask you something.
Yes.
Well, it's not necessarily just for Steve Kerr, but it's kind of like when you think of Steve Kerr and when you think of Jeff Borrego, do you think like what we have a lot of kind of like softies in the new generation now, people that gets hurt easily
Yep.
with their emotion. Do you think that these coaches are developing bad coaching habits to kind of like take care of these emotional sides of the new generation, new of
Yep,
players?
exactly.
Yes, they are. Most of these coaches, not all, they don't know what it's like to be a man. So they cannot teach a man what being a man knows because they're dealing with the problems with themselves. You understand what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
that's a trickle down effect with the young players. Steve Kerr is looking like a coach who does not know how to coach anybody but veterans.
Hmm.
A great coach is like Larry Brown. No matter what they say about Larry Brown, and I know he's not perfect because of the Olympics and stuff like that, but Larry Brown went back to college to coach SMU. SMU had a lot of young players. He took that team to a couple of NCAA tournaments. So not only has Larry Brown won in the NBA, but he's won in college with Kansas before he was in the NBA. And he took SMU, a debunked and more bound school, into the NCAA tournament. That's when you know you're a great coach. But a coach like Steve Kerr, he was given everything to him. He started coaching out of nowhere. He was never an assistant coach. He never worked in the film room before he got that Golden State Warriors job. Unlike Mark Jackson earned it from the mud. He was a former player, but he became an assistant. And he worked his way. That's what's wrong with coaching. They give their favorites these positions. Look at Luke Walton. Luke Walton had a job without even being an assistant.
Yeah, facts. And actually, without Steph Curry and the Splash Brothers, I think Steve Kerr would have been just the next Fluke Walton.
Exactly. You know, Fluke Walton is just that dude is just he's just I told King fans about him. They're like, no, that's because of Lonzo and the war. I understand what y'all saying about Lonzo. Come on. But Steve Kerr's not a great coach. Let's be real now. Not Steve Kerr, but Luke Walton's not a good coach. When is it? When has it been a time where you look at Steve Kerr coach a team like, man, he is a great coach. He's putting up great schemes. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Let me ask this because I actually didn't start watching the Warriors until Steph Curry got hot. So I'm not gonna lie about that. But I know you've been watching a lot of basketball. Did they have the positionless style before Steve Kerr?
They had variations of it a little bit with the Suns, but even the Suns would have a center. I mean, they had Shaq at one point with Amari. They did a couple lineups, but they didn't do it all the time. You know, they didn't do it like back then. It's not even that long ago. They didn't even do positions as basketball with the starters that much. That would come into like a like a bench um, tactic, right? So if you have an undersized bench, what you're going to do with undersized bench and versatile players, you're going to play positionless basketball. The problem is teams like the Hornets, they play positionless basketball, but they don't have the pieces to do it. That's their main problem. So they're playing a style that's not conclusive to winning. They're only at 500. It's because they're in the East. Teams are beating up on each other and they catch some breaks. That's pretty much it. Shout out to JG. Thank you for supporting the channel again, my brother. Let me find your comment. Says all the Warriors has to do is look into their lowest moment during the finals when KD and Clay was out. Melo should have made a bigger impact and kept the Warriors afloat more than Wiseman, honestly. Would have. Oh, absolutely. I think he would. JC, do you think that if the Warriors would have drafted LaMelo Ball, he would have handled it or he would have not handled it? Do you think? I think that LaMelo would have handled that.
Oh man, I think Lamelo would have overpowered Steve Kerr.
Mhm.
Like he would,
Yeah.
Of course.
yeah. Like when we're comparing ego, I think Jeff Borrego has like a bigger ego that makes him slightly a little bit more alpha than Steve Kerr. And that we can hear that when he talks after the meetings and trying to validate um his stupid points. But with Steve Kerr, I think it would Lamelo would have overpowered him in silence just with his play, you know. And that's the beauty of Lamelo's game. It's like you wouldn't have to say anything. You wouldn't have to go and like make it seem that he's going after his coach. Just saying the same narrative and just playing the same game, but eventually Steve Kerr would have crumbled. Like I don't believe he would have taken that long to put Lamelo on the starting lineup. Let's say that he was on the Warriors. After the first 5 games, Lamelo played that well, even including the first game when he had 0 points. And that's the tragedy, you know, because us as fans, we got robbed. We got robbed from seeing like the next I don't know, like Lamelo would have been a better player in the with playing with Curry and we got and I think Wiseman would have also been very good playing in Charlotte. But I have my own theory on how that happened. Since the first day of the draft, I thought that Jordan used his influence to get Lamelo. I don't think it was. I mean, I understand. We can hear Jalen Rose talking about releasing the news that they even told Lamelo that he was joining the Warriors, and then it changed last minute. I think, and it looked like it's very unprofessional, and that's why Lavar was mad. But I have a feeling that Jordan had his influence in there, and if you guys follow, I know AB the Hero sometimes he joined the panel as
Oh, let
well.
me read this real quick. Sorry about that. Let me read this. Luis says, remember, LaMelo's has expert experience handling big ego.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
facts,
does. He's done it
facts.
in his whole career.
And Lavar is the true guy, like true alpha, and he
Right.
handled that his entire life, you know. And so I don't want to take too long on that, but all that to say, yeah, I think us fan we got robbed both in the Hornets and in the Warriors, and could have been much better for both players.
And Terry in the Terry says, Terry in the chat says Melo would have handled Curry's adversity because he's already handled. He's been battle tested through the media treatment of his father. That's correct. So this is nothing new to LaMelo Ball, but this is different to James Wiseman. James Wiseman, he's never, I wouldn't say coddled, but he just never had scrutiny like LaMelo's had in his whole career. And shout out to Dom King. Brother, what you think about Steve Kerr overstepping his bounds with James Wiseman? He could have just suspended him a game, but for some reason he tried to embarrass James Wiseman. What you think about that?
First off, man, pleasure being on. What I want to say about the Steve Kerr situation is I think something's brewing up in Golden State, in my opinion. When I speak on this specifically, I'm speaking on behind the scenes, something we really can't see or touch, or the regular everyday person won't have this access to this type of information. Just my opinion, but I believe, after the whole situation with Draymond Green and Kevin Durant kind of falling out, it's been some negativity spurring up in that organization. And, this Wiseman situation is just, a symptom, but it's not the actual disease. Whatever's going on has something to do with Steve Kerr. I believe that the whole Melo situation, could you imagine Melo on Golden State right now?
Boy.
Right? I mean, think about that dynamic duo this year between Steph Curry and Melo, just really leading that team. I could see a lot of assists. I could see a lot of ball movement. I could see XYZ. We know that it'd have been a good, it'd have been a show. And he's in Cali, you know what I mean? So he would have been in his home state doing his thing. But ultimately, it's something going on behind the scenes, and Steve Kerr is, a part of that disease, in my opinion. How they did Wiseman was dirty, but it's deeper than that. Like Draymond Green is feeling guilty, in my opinion. Obviously, he's respecting Melo's game, but when he came out and gave Melo all that praise, I mean, when Steph Curry mysteriously got sick, all the behind the scenes things that are happening within that organization, that's just my opinion. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, brother, I respect your opinion, and I'll go a step further. I wouldn't be surprised if that what you said was true. Just looking at the Warriors' body movement and just the frustration that's spilling out on the court, I read that stuff. And this is why emotional coaches should never be having positions to lead young men. They don't know how to do it. They don't want to learn how to do it. They're stuck in their ways and they won't change. But one thing I'm proud of LaMelo Ball is that through all the adversity and the hatred, he's rectified all that and he's risen above the hate. You can't teach young players that. A lot of them have not been through the struggle. Yeah, they may have been poor or not had money, but is there anybody besides LaMelo that has dealt with adversity like him in this draft? I can't think of any of them. And the media scrutiny, and the people always talking about your father. Slick Madison, through this conversation, my brother, what have you learned from this discussion, especially the importance of having strong male figures as coaches instead of these emotional beta male coaches we have today, coaching these young brothers?
Yes, brother DJ. So what I can say is that that male figure, that male presence, it's very important. Because when you have alpha male, right, in a locker room, when you have a beta male leading that pack, what happens eventually? No matter what, there will always be corruption and confusion. With this situation with James Wiseman, and you got Steve Kerr, he's benching this kid for like, 3/4 and stuff. It shows you that Steve Kerr, he has. I would say this right now. I think he lost the team. Honestly, I know it's a hot take, but I think he lost the team. I've read some stats online, and it says that, when Steph doesn't have other superstar with him, like other All-Star besides Draymond, he has a losing record. He has a 20-win percentage. Is that on Steph or is that on Steve Kerr? That's what I don't understand. And there comes to a point where like the media scrutiny on Steph Curry, it needs to stop, because you have this guy coming in putting up 35, 40 a night, and they're still losing. You have two other guys in the team that's averaging 18 and 19 points, and they're still losing. When is there going to come a point where we have to start looking at Steve Kerr and what he brings to this team? And not to move away from the question, but you talk about male figure and the male presence, and with this situation. But I just think that I don't think he was like quite fit to deal with this group this year. Last year,
Right.
we gave him a pass. We gave him a pass last year, and it's okay. But this year, you got Wiggins. I mean, you had Wiggins last year, but you got Oubre. You got some more young players. You got James Wiseman, the number 2 pick. And many would say that this team should have been at least minimum hanging around the 4th or 5th seed. They're not a bad team. They're underachieving massively. And if anybody listened to what Shaq and Charles Barkley had to say last night, not to reference old media or anything, because I know these guys, they're, we already know how they are. But just to listen to what these guys had to say last night, they know. They know what's up, and sometimes like they will do whatever they have to say with their agendas and whatever. But they're basically saying the Warriors should tank. And what does that tell you? A true coach, a true alpha male, a true like dominant figure in the locker room would say, you know what, enough of this. We ain't tanking, man. We the Warriors, man. We got Steph, we got Wiseman, we got Wiggins, we got Oubre. Come on, guys, let's make a run, man. And this is where you see this is where you see the frustration from Steph Kerr, because he knows this team has potential. Everybody's sitting around waiting for Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, I'm sorry, as good as he is, he's not LeBron James. He's not going to take a team from the 12th seed to the number 1 seed. This is a problem. This is a big, big problem. Klay Thompson is not going to just all of a sudden make this team a championship team. With this group that's going on right now, if they can't be in the 4th or 5th seed with this group, Klay Thompson is not going to save them. And that's when you have to start looking at the coaching. You don't have KD there no more, as your security blanket. We all know this, that Kevin Durant was Steve Kerr's security blanket. And that first year he won with the Warriors, he should not have won that championship. We all know that. LeBron didn't have Kyrie, he didn't have Kevin Love. And he took them to 5 games with Dellavedova as his backup. Okay? As the second best player. So one could say that this dynasty could have never happened, really, if you think about it. If LeBron had won that first year, right? That second year, he probably would have won 2 as well. I mean, that 73-win team was very good. But he could have won that second year. If Kevin Durant never came to the Warriors, what would have happened? Would they have won any championships? But, this goes to show you, man, like Steve Kerr, man, I think his time is up, man. Honestly. And it's showing.
And Slime says, facts, Klay not going to fix every problem. He's not. Yep. And Warrior fans keep saying, oh, wait till we get Klay back. I'm like, yep. That's not going to be enough. Klay's Teams are getting better all the time.
Yep.
Well,
so is that what you're going to say, JC?
I just wanted to ask, because the brother raised a good point right here. He was talking about the potential of Steve Kerr. Now, that raises a good question. What is the potential of Steve Kerr? And just like you mentioned, if he's not able to, if he's underperforming with players like this, could that be the reason why the Warriors were so desperate to get KD?
Exactly. That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Can I just want to say one thing real quick? You remember Steve Kerr was out for like 30 games? You had Luke Walton. He went on that run.
Yeah, I remember that.
That alone should tell you everything. That alone right there should tell you everything. This team, this Warriors dynasty, I'm sorry, but the coaching was a little part of it. It wasn't a big part of it. It's basically like the LeBron James situation. Like, LeBron doesn't really need a coach. He could just win a championship by himself with his teammates. So this is where you've seen, when Steve Kerr is on the hot seat and he really has to coach, he's getting exposed. And this is what we're seeing right now. We've seen this guy getting exposed. I could tell you all the teams in the league right now that doesn't have their best player. Look at last night. No Ben Simmons, no Joel Embiid. You got a scrub as a center. He's dropping 14 and 10. Like, come on, man. That shows you that Doc Rivers, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. Yes, he had his flaws and his moments. Yes, sometimes he can lose his locker room, here and there. But he's a good coach overall. Like, if he gets his team to buy in mentally and physically and everything that he wants it to be, if he loses superstars, he could still be able to win games. And last night is a testament to that. So I'm just want to just let you know, this is no excuse for Steve Kerr right now. It's no excuse.
No excuse at all, brother. Yep. And let me read this before I close this show. This wonderful show that we had today. Great numbers. Make sure everyone get the like button up so we can determine the algorithm that's going on. Mr. What a Day says the positive male presence also brings consistent boundaries, standards, realistic expectations. Warriors don't have it right now. Bingo. They don't have that. That's why they're looking mad, frustrated, just lost on the court. And the reason why they're in playoff seeding now, just for now, you never know what's going to happen in the West. It's all because of Steph Curry. And then you got to put out Also Draymond Green's defense. That helps. But until they have it, they're going to be in the same position. Either the coach rectifies his emotional behavior, or the Warriors just need another coach. Because at the end of the day, it's about making Steph Curry happy. He's the franchise player, and they got to acquiesce to him. But brothers, thank you for joining the show. I'll probably do another live later on today. Y'all made some good points, and I'm rolling out. Support new media, guys. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to share this video with your friends, family, etc. And let's ride out. Let's ride out.
Let me tell you something. Back in my day, let me show you.